Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, time is running out. Bitcoin is getting squeezed by this Bollinger Bands indicator in the immediate short term, as we're still trying to play out this bullish divergence, but we now have liquidity building not just above the price, but below the price of Bitcoin as well in the immediate short term, which is something that we need to pay attention to, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside Ethereum still trying to play out this short-term bullish divergence, while XRP is also playing out a similar bullish divergence just in the shorter term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trader indicator is still sitting in the red, indicating a larger correction or a larger bearish market. And on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have a massive bearish divergence to watch out for, which is still influencing the price on the much larger time frames. Remember, this is not a short-term signal, but what is a bit of a more short to mid-term signal is this smaller bullish divergence, which has already been playing out very nicely over the last 1 week, almost coming up to 2 weeks now, obviously in the form of mostly choppy sideways price action, as we could see, but usually we see either a slight bullish relief or just some choppy sideways price action as the most common outcomes. And so continue to expect the same sort of price action that we've been seeing over the last 1 week, if not potentially a little bit more of a bullish relief, maybe over the next 1 week or so. But remember, this is more of a shorter term signal. It is a smaller divergence compared to this much larger bearish divergence here on the weekly time frame. And on the daily Bitcoin price chart, we can see that right now the price of Bitcoin is still bouncing around in this same sideways price range between support and resistance. First of all, this area of support is still sitting at around 85 to 86,000, and this area of resistance is still sitting at around 92 to 94,000. So not a lot has changed in that regard over the last 1 day. And of course, if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, we can see a possible cup and handle pattern possibly forming, but not currently confirmed. And in fact, in order for this to confirm, we really need to see a breakout at some point in the next 1 or 2 days max, because for example, if we take another half a week to 1 week to eventually see some sort of bullish move, then by that stage we won't really have a cup and handle pattern even forming at all. But obviously this still is a possible trading opportunity if very soon, ideally in the next 1 day, we see a breakout above this line right here, which in case you're wondering is sitting at almost exactly $90,000. So continue to expect resistance at 90,000, but if we see a breakout very soon above that level, then that would activate a bullish price target at around 94,500. But remember, we also have a lot of resistance at around 92 to 94,000. And something else to watch out for on the Bitcoin price charts, taking a look at that 8-hour time frame, is this Bollinger Bands indicator, which basically tells us the rough volatility that's happening. Obviously, we could see here that the price, or really the Bollinger Bands, tries to keep the price within this Bollinger Bands indicator. So it's based on this moving average right here, and then obviously the Bollinger Bands expand if we see a lot of volatility, and if we see very low volatility, then the Bollinger Bands contract. And usually if we see a large contraction where these Bollinger Bands are coming together, usually that comes just before another massive expansion. In other words, when we see a contraction in this indicator, a squeeze in the Bollinger Bands, that usually happens right before a massive move in the price of Bitcoin. And of course, that move could be bullish or bearish. We need to wait for a break of support and resistance to really start determining the direction of that move. But basically, all this tells us is we're likely going to see a major volatile move if we're seeing a squeeze like this in the Bollinger Bands. And if we're looking at what is happening right now in the Bollinger Bands indicator, at least here on the 8-hour time frame, we are seeing one of the largest contractions, one of the largest squeezes that we've seen in a long time. And usually the larger the squeeze, or the tighter the squeeze I should say, for the Bollinger Bands indicator, the larger the next move will eventually be. So obviously we're seeing a massive contraction in this indicator right now, a huge squeeze in the Bollinger Bands, which is pointing towards most likely a massive volatile move coming very soon, potentially in the coming days or maybe the next 1 or 2 weeks max, but basically very soon. Be prepared for another very volatile move. So essentially right now, this is the calm before the storm. And then once again, as I just said earlier, we need to pay close attention to support and resistance levels to really determine the direction of that next move. Of course, if we start confirming a break below support, then we're beginning to start the volatile move in the bearish direction, and we'll be targeting lower price targets, like for example around 80 to 81,000 if we break below around 85 to 86,000, or if we break below 80,000, in that situation, I'll be targeting around 76,000 as the next target if we break below all of these points of support. So once again, we'll have to wait for that signal to actually confirm before setting up those next targets, and vice versa. If we break out above, for example, this point of resistance here at around 90,000, as I said earlier, if we see that signal confirm, then that would activate this bullish price target up here at around 94,500, but also be aware that we have resistance, especially around that 94K level. And so we have multiple trade setups, trading opportunities waiting to happen, waiting to confirm. We're just waiting for one of those confirmation signals to actually happen, either a confirmed break below one of these important points of support or a confirmed breakout above resistance. Once we see one of those signals confirm, then that confirms the direction, and then we can trade in that direction with a long position in the bullish case or a short position in the bearish case to profit no matter what the price does. We just need to wait for an entry signal, not financial advice. But considering it is quite likely that sometime soon in the coming days we could see a very volatile move, potentially in the very early new year, this is definitely the time to get set up ready to go on a crypto exchange if you haven't done so already, to take advantage of the next massive trading opportunity. And if you're using the first link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment, that first link below the video will take you to this page right here over on the 2bit crypto exchange, which by the way is also a no KYC crypto exchange. And there's right now a huge Christmas trading showdown happening over on 2bit, where there's basically a 1 million USDT prize pool. And so just simply by trading crypto, there's a bunch of different ways here where you can potentially claim a share in this huge 1 million USDT prize pool just by signing up, trading crypto, etc., using that link below the video to 2bit. So especially if you're going to be trading crypto anyway or preparing to take the next trading opportunity, you might as well take advantage of this using that first link below this video. And remember, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But if you want another option out there other than 2bit, another exchange that I also use to claim extra bonuses on, then in that situation, check out the second link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment, because the second link below the video will take you to this page right here over on the Pinex crypto exchange, where you can also take advantage of major bonuses just by making an account using that link, completing KYC. You get a 50 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account, and on top of that, there's deposit bonuses here. If you deposit as little as 100 USDT, you get a 100 USDT bonus on your Pinex account. If you deposit 10,000, then the exchange puts a 1,000 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. So basically a bunch of free money from the exchange, which you can claim using that link below the video just by depositing or completing KYC over on Pinex. But this right here is only available if you're using the link below the video to actually make your account. So once again, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway or preparing to take the next trading opportunity, definitely take advantage of these major bonuses here using that link below this video. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and right now we still have a lot of liquidity sitting at just above 90,500, really in between 90.6k to 91,000. So in the higher $90,000 area, just below 91,000, still have a lot of liquidity sitting right there. But really just over the last 24 hours, we've now started to build more liquidity just below the price of Bitcoin at around 86.3k to 86.4k approximately. So it's possible at some stage in the coming days or 1 or 2 weeks, we could end up taking potentially both of those levels out by seeing more volatility coming very soon, especially as we start to see the next expansion in this indicator right here for the price of Bitcoin. And so once again, this is the calm before the storm. Time is running out. Yes, in the immediate short term, this is very boring price action, but very, very likely this boring price action will lead to another very major move really in either direction. Once again, we need to wait for one of those signals to confirm to start determining the direction of that next major move. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, we can see that right now the Bitcoin dominance is still trending at least slightly in the bullish direction. We don't have a significant amount of bullish momentum, but overall the trend or the price structure is still looking more bullish than it is bearish, which means Bitcoin will still be likely at least slightly outperforming a lot of the major altcoins out there on average. But considering we don't have a significant amount of bullish momentum, don't expect a huge outperformance. So it's still quite likely that a lot of the major altcoins out there will be performing very similar to whatever Bitcoin is doing, not necessarily much better or much worse. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, we can see this for Ethereum. Obviously, while Bitcoin is just sort of trading sideways in the immediate short term, consolidating, getting ready for that next major move, we're seeing something very similar for Ethereum, just kind of bouncing around relatively sideways sideways in the shorter term. And so right now, these support and resistance levels have not changed over the last one day. I'd still expect a lot of support in between 2750 to 2.8k and a lot of resistance in between 3000 to 3.1k. Those are the immediate support and resistance levels to watch out for. And of course, zooming into this area right here on the daily Ethereum price chart, staying on the daily time frame, we still have a possible head and shoulders pattern forming right now, but not yet currently confirmed. In order for this bearish price pattern to actually confirm, activating a bearish price target, we'll need to see a confirmed break to the downside with at least a daily candle close below this neckline sitting at just above 2.8k. So basically we need a break below around 2.8k below these lows right here in order to actually activate this bearish price target and activate this bearish price pattern. And so obviously this is something to pay attention to, nothing to really act on as of right now because once again it's not yet confirmed, but definitely be aware of this forming in case it possibly confirms in the coming days here, which would still be a possibility, so just be aware of that. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 3-hour Ethereum price chart, we can see right now, just in the immediate short term, talking about a period of hours or days, we're playing out this very small bullish divergence, a short-term bullish divergence on the 3-hour Ethereum price chart. Obviously, we previously confirmed lower lows in the price and higher lows in the RSI, which means we're most likely going to see either some sideways price action or a very slight bullish relief, which is so far exactly what we've been seeing over the last couple of days as predicted. And this could likely continue maybe just for another day, but I'll not necessarily expect this to continue to play out over weeks or months, considering it's only a short-term signal on a very short-term or small time frame. And if we're taking a look at Solana on the daily time frame, it's a somewhat similar situation for Solana. Just in the shorter term, we're sort of consolidating sideways, bouncing around a little bit, thanks to, of course, this bullish divergence, helping the price to have a bit of a break from all of this larger bearish trend. Now, technically speaking, we are still within the larger bearish trend, at least for now. We've not yet confirmed any strong reversal signal or massive change in the bearish price structure, forming lower highs and lower lows. At least for now, we've not really reversed that much larger bearish price structure. But once again, as I've said it many times recently here on the channel, just in the shorter term during this larger bearish trend, we're currently seeing a bit of a break from the trend, just either a sideways consolidation or a slight bullish relief as the most likely outcomes from a bullish divergence, which can occur during the trend. So right now, that is all still playing out as predicted and will likely continue for a little longer, at least over the coming days here. And as of recording this video, the price of Solana is running into a possible point of resistance at around 124 to 125. And if we break out beyond that point right there, expect more resistance at close to $130 based on previous support flipping into new resistance at around 130. And above that, expect massive resistance in between 143 to 147. And as for support, also expect a lot of support really in between 115 to 120 approximately. And in terms of the next major move, definitely pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what is likely going to happen for a lot of these altcoins. Remember, as I said earlier, with the Bitcoin dominance here, a lot of altcoins will likely play out quite similar price action to what Bitcoin is doing. So that means if maybe in a few days or a week from now, for example, if Bitcoin eventually sees some sort of major volatile move to a certain direction, then a lot of these major altcoins will likely play out a similar move. So keep that in mind, keep an eye on what Bitcoin is doing. And if we're taking a look at XRP on the weekly time frame, XRP is still playing out this massive bearish divergence on the weekly chart that I did warn about all the way back up here at close to all-time highs at end of July, early August. You can even check my videos back then. They're all still public, warning about this multi-month pullback. But at least for now, this is still all playing out as predicted and will likely continue to play out possibly for another few months at least. But obviously along the way towards the downside, we can run into points of support or play out shorter term bullish signals, play out little bullish reliefs and things like that on smaller time frames. So that's what's happening right now just in the short term. We are running into support at around $1.80. And of course, here on a smaller time frame, looking at the daily chart, we are playing out this smaller bullish divergence in the form of really choppy sideways price action over the last 1 week or so. First of all, a bullish relief and then a slight pullback and then another little bounce, just sort of bouncing around it relatively sideways. And so obviously this is exactly what I've been talking about here on the channel every day for over a week now. Just in the short term, expect a little bit of a break from the larger bearish trend, but not necessarily the end of the larger bearish trend, kind of like what we saw just here or just here, for example. Maybe a slight bullish relief, maybe some choppy sideways price action, but still occurring during this multi-month bearish trend. And so honestly, not a lot has changed over the last one day for XRP. We still have a lot of support at around $1.80 and a lot of resistance at around $1.95, and especially at just above $2 here, acting as strong resistance. So without wasting any more of your time, getting straight into the price of Chainlink here on the daily Chainlink price chart. And right now we are technically still playing out this bullish divergence. We came close to possibly invalidating the bullish divergence, but we did not yet confirm any invalidation signal to actually invalidate the bullish divergence, which means it is still active and still influencing the price on the daily time frame, which means continue to expect either choppy sideways price action or a slight bullish relief. And obviously I've been saying that every day for a week now, and that's exactly what we've seen over the last 1 week. Just a bit of choppy sideways price action, and this will likely continue at least over the next few days, possibly longer, possibly another 1 or 2 weeks, but at least over the next few days I do expect very similar price action to what we have been seeing over the last 1 week or so. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, still expect a lot of support at give or take $12, really in between $11.90 to $12.10, acting as strong support, and a lot of resistance at around $12.80 based on previous support back here, flipping into new resistance at around $12.80, and above that expect major resistance in between $13.30 to $13.50. And also zooming into just this area on the daily Chainlink price chart, we can see a possible head and shoulders pattern effectively formed but not yet confirmed. And in order to actually confirm this bearish price pattern, confirming a bearish price target, would need to confirm a daily candle close, confirming a break below this neckline right here, below this support at around $11.80 to $11.90. And so as always, not financial advice, but there's a bunch of possible trading opportunities on the table here waiting to happen, waiting to confirm. We're simply just waiting for one of these confirmation signals to actually confirm in order to potentially enter that next trading opportunity towards one of these price targets that I have been mentioning throughout these videos. Obviously, we have shorter term price targets possibly set up, ready to go, just waiting to confirm once we see one of these confirmation signals. And so as I said earlier, time is running out. This is the calm before the storm. This is the time to get set up, ready to go, using the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade these sort of moves in the price of Bitcoin or any crypto, no matter what the price is doing, no matter what direction the price goes, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.